The message arrived on a Tuesday. Ambassador Do-hyun stared at the holographic display floating above his desk. He read the invitation 3 times to make sure he understood it correctly. A summit? He asked the empty room. On a death world? He pressed a button on his desk. Please ask Captain Jin-ho and security specialist Hee-jin to come to my office right away. Do-hyun stood and walked to the window. Earth looked peaceful from the orbital diplomatic station. Blue oceans, white clouds, and green-brown land. Home. The place humans had evolved, struggled, and eventually mastered. The door slid open. Captain Jin-ho entered first, his uniform crisp and his posture straight. Hye-jin followed, her alert eyes scanning the room before settling on the ambassador. You called for us, sir? Jin-ho asked. Do-hyun pointed to the holographic message. The Galactic Council has invited humans to attend something called the Death World Summit. It will take place on a planet named Narak. Hye-jin stepped forward to read the message. This is unusual. We've only had official contact with the Council for 8 months. Why would they invite us to such a specialized meeting? That's what I want to find out, Do-hyun said. The message says representatives from various species that evolved on harsh worlds will attend. They want to discuss survival strategies and possible cooperation. Jin-ho frowned. Do they consider Earth a death world? Apparently not, Do-hyun replied. The message says they're inviting us as honored observers who have achieved spaceflight despite evolving in moderate conditions. Hye-jin made a small sound that might have been a laugh. Moderate conditions? Have they studied Earth's history? At all? I believe they have a limited understanding of our planet, Do-hyun said. When their survey ships arrived, they mostly saw our cities, farms, and managed wilderness areas. They didn't see the hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, and all the animals that can kill humans, Jin-ho asked. Or the fact that our planet has everything from burning deserts to frozen wastelands, Hye-jin added. Do-hyun nodded. I think there's been a misunderstanding. But this could be valuable. We need allies in the Galactic Council, and this summit might help us build relationships. When is this summit? Jin-ho asked. In 3 weeks, I need both of you to help me prepare. Jin-ho, you'll lead security. Hye-jin, I want you to gather all available information on the other species who will attend. Yes, sir, they both replied. 1 week later, Hye-jin placed a data tablet on Do-hyun's desk. I've collected information on the 3 main species who will attend the summit. Do-hyun picked up the tablet. Tell me what you found. First, the Krath, Hye-jin said. Silicon-based, life forms from a world with active volcanoes everywhere. They have rock-like skin and can withstand extreme heat. Interesting, Do-hyun murmured. Next, the Vodar. They breathe ammonia and come from an ice planet. Their bodies contain antifreeze compounds, and temperatures above freezing are uncomfortable for them. And the 3rd species? The Drex. They evolved on a moon orbiting a gas giant. They breathe methane and have extremely dense bodies to withstand the high gravity of their home. Do-hyun put down the tablet. All very different from humans. Yes, Hye-jin agreed. But here's what's strange. None of their homeworlds seem more dangerous than Earth in overall terms. They each have specific extreme conditions, but Earth has a wider range of environments and dangers. That matches what I've learned from the diplomatic briefings, Do-hyun said. The Council seems to have categorized Earth as a gentle world because of our oxygen atmosphere and moderate gravity. Jin-ho, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. They're underestimating us. It appears so, Do-hyun said, but we shouldn't correct this misunderstanding too quickly. It might be useful to observe how they interact when they don't see us as equals. A strategic approach, Jin-ho nodded. Who else will join our delegation? Engineer Subin will come to evaluate any technology we might see, Do-hyun answered. The United Earth government wants this to be a small team, just the 4 of us. Hye-jin looked concerned. 4 people seems too few for a potentially hostile environment. We'll bring appropriate equipment, Do-hyun assured her. And according to the invitation, the summit facility has been designed to accommodate all species' needs. I still don't like it, Jinho said. We'll be outnumbered if anything goes wrong. That's why I'm bringing my best security team. Do-hyun smiled. Now, let's discuss the protective gear we'll need. The Earth ship, Horizon, dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the planet Narak. From orbit, the world looked harsh and unwelcoming. Red-brown landmasses were broken by black seas under swirling yellow clouds. In the ship's preparation room, Engineer Subin adjusted the settings on Do-hyun's environmental suit. Unlike the heavy protection gear they had expected to need, these suits were surprisingly light. Are you sure these will be enough? Do-hyun asked. Subin nodded. Based on the atmospheric and gravity data they provided, these suits will protect us adequately. The planet has higher gravity than Earth, about twice what we're used to, but nothing humans can't handle with proper support. The gravity is going to be unpleasant, Jinho said as he checked his weapon harness. Although weapons were not allowed in the summit meetings, the security team had permission to carry standard equipment while outside the diplomatic areas. The atmosphere is the bigger concern, Subin continued. It contains elements toxic to humans, but nothing our filters can't handle. She tapped the thin mask that would cover the lower half of their faces. These will clean the air. The suits will manage temperature and provide some gravity compensation. Hyejin frowned as she sealed her suit. It feels too light. The briefing materials suggested Narak was one of the harshest inhabited planets in the galaxy. Perhaps by their standards, Subin shrugged. But humans have trained in more difficult conditions. Our astronauts regularly work in vacuum, which is far more dangerous. A light flashed on the wall indicating they had received landing clearance. It's time, Do-hyun said. Remember, we're here to learn and to establish positive relationships. The United Earth government needs allies in the Council if we're going to protect our interests in the galaxy. And if they're bringing us here to test us? Jinho asked. Do-hyun smiled. Then we'll show them exactly what humans are capable of, but quietly, with dignity. As the ship began its descent toward the surface of Narak, none of the humans realized how completely the other species had misjudged them, or how dramatically that error would be revealed in the days to come. On the planet below, representatives from 3 Death World species waited to meet the soft, fragile newcomers to the galactic community. They had invited humans as a diplomatic formality, expecting them to struggle, complain, and quickly learn their place in the hierarchy of tough species. They had no idea what was coming. The human ship landed with a gentle thud on the surface of Narak. Through the viewports, the landscape looked bleak. Sharp rock formations jutted from cracked ground, and yellow-tinged clouds raced across the sky. Gravity compensators at maximum, Subin reported as she monitored the ship's systems. Outside temperature is 42 degrees Celsius. Air pressure is 1.7 times Earth standard. Do-hyun nodded. Final suit check, everyone. The 4 humans inspected each other's environmental suits. Unlike the bulky protection they had seen in images of other species visiting Narak, human suits were relatively sleek. The material was thin but strong, with cooling systems and light gravity compensation built in. Remember, Do-hyun said, we're representing all of humanity. Be respectful, but don't show weakness. Jinho checked his sidearm one last time before securing it to his hip. Ready when you are, sir. The airlock cycled, and hot air rushed in. The gravity pulled at them immediately, making each movement require more effort. But years of training in various environments had prepared them well. As the outer door opened, they got their first view of the welcoming committee. 3 different species stood waiting, each in environmental protection suited to their needs. The Krath representatives wore minimal coverings. Their bodies resembled walking boulders with limbs, their silicon-based forms naturally resistant to Narak's heat. 4 glowing spots on their upper bodies seemed to serve as eyes. Beside them, the Vodar stood in massive refrigerated suits. Frost formed and quickly evaporated around the joints of their protective gear. Through clear face shields, their blue-white skin and large black eyes were visible. The Drex delegation wore the simplest protection, breathing masks that supplied methane to their respiratory systems. Their bodies were short but extremely wide, built to withstand high-gravity environments. All three groups stared as the humans walked down the ramp. They looked surprised, Hyejin whispered. Do-hyun maintained a formal posture despite the pull of gravity. They expected us to struggle more. A Krath stepped forward. Its voice came through a translator device, sounding gravelly and deep. Welcome to Narek, humans. I am Senior Representative Thorax of the Krath Collective. We are surprised to see you exit your vessel so quickly. Do-hyun bowed slightly. Thank you for your welcome, Senior Representative. I am Ambassador Do-hyun of Earth. We appreciate being invited to this important summit. The Votar representative moved closer, the mechanical joints of its cooling suit whirring. Most impressive, Ambassador. Many first-time visitors require hours to adjust to Narak's conditions. The voice was high and musical through the translator. I am Diplomatic Envoy, Pella of the Votar Harmony. The Drex representative waddled forward. Security Chief Merg of the Drex Union. Your protective gear seems inadequate. Its voice sounded concerned. Subin smiled behind her breathing mask. Our suits are designed for efficiency, Security Chief. They provide all the protection we require. The aliens exchanged glances that even the humans could recognize as doubt. Please follow us to the summit facility, Thorax said. We have prepared appropriate accommodations for your physiology. As they walked toward a large structure in the distance, the humans felt the eyes of all three alien species studying them. The higher gravity made walking more difficult, but years of training in variable gravity environments helped them maintain a steady pace. They're waiting for us to complain or fall behind, Jin-ho observed quietly. Then they'll be waiting a long time, Hyejin replied. The summit facility was impressive, a massive structure with different sections designed to accommodate the needs of each species. The human quarters featured Earth-standard temperature, humidity, and a gravity compensator that reduced Narek's pull to something closer to Earth's. These are your rooms, Pella explained as they entered. We hope they will be comfortable. The atmospheric processors will provide oxygen-rich air similar to your homeworld. Thank you for your consideration, Do-hyun said. When will the formal meetings begin? Tomorrow morning, Thorax answered. Today is for rest and acclimatization. Most new arrivals need time to adjust to Narek's conditions. After the alien representatives left, Jin-ho immediately began checking the quarters for surveillance devices. Find anything? Do-hyun asked when Jin-ho finished his sweep. 3 monitoring devices, Jin-ho reported. Basic audio and visual recording. I've left them active but set up our own jammers. They'll only see and hear what we want them to. Subin examined the gravity compensator in the center of the room. Interesting technology. Efficient design, but I could improve it. What's your assessment so far? Do-hyun asked the group. Hyejin spoke first. They're definitely testing us. Did you notice how they kept watching our breathing and movements? They expected us to struggle with the gravity and atmosphere. Jin-ho nodded. The security personnel from all 3 species were evaluating us. Their body language suggested surprise and confusion. I need to join the first diplomatic meeting alone, Do-hyun decided. Jin-ho, I want you and Hyejin to explore the facility, learn the layout, and observe the other species. Subin, examine any technology you can access without causing offense. Yes, Ambassador, they responded together. The next morning, while Do-hyun attended the welcome ceremony with the other diplomats, Jin-ho and Hyejin explored the outer sections of the facility. They passed groups of alien security personnel, who watched them with obvious curiosity. Notice how they're staring at our suits? Hyejin said quietly. The Votar guards are in those massive cooling units, and the Drex can barely move in this gravity without mechanical assistance. And yet, we're walking around in what must look like casual wear to them, Jin-ho replied. No wonder they're confused. They reached an observation deck that overlooked the harsh landscape of Narak. In the distance, plumes of steam erupted from cracks in the ground. The sky had darkened with approaching storm clouds. This isn't so different from some of Earth's volcanic regions, Hyejin noted. Hot, high-pressure, toxic gases in places. Nothing humans haven't dealt with before. A loud alarm suddenly blared through the facility. The floor beneath them trembled. Seismic activity, a voice announced through the facility's communication system. All personnel returned to main gathering areas immediately. Jin-Ho and Hye-Jin ran back toward the central section of the facility. As they rounded a corner, they saw a section of ceiling collapse ahead of them. A Krath diplomat stood directly beneath the falling debris, looking upward but moving too slowly to escape. Without hesitation, Jin-Ho sprinted forward. Despite the heavy gravity, he reached the Krath in seconds, shoving the silicon-based alien clear of danger. Hye-Jin grabbed Jin-Ho's arm and pulled him back just as chunks of ceiling crashed down where they had stood. The Krath stared at them with its glowing eye spots. "You saved me, in this gravity, with your fragile form." "How?" Jin-Ho shrugged. "Basic training. Any human would have done the same." More aliens arrived at the scene, including representatives from all three species. They looked at the humans with new expressions: surprise, confusion, and the first hints of respect. Do-hyun pushed through the crowd, relief visible on his face when he saw his team was safe. "Is everyone all right?" "We're fine," Hye-Jin reported. "Just some falling debris." A voter diplomat stepped forward, the joints of its cooling suit creaking. "Your security team moved faster than any of our people could have in these conditions. Most impressive for beings from a moderate world." Do-hyun caught the slight change in tone. The condescension was fading, replaced by genuine curiosity. "Perhaps," Do-hyun said carefully, "humans have more experience with unexpected dangers than you realized." As repair crews worked to clear the debris, the alien delegates whispered among themselves. The humans had just demonstrated abilities that contradicted everything the other species thought they knew, and the summit had barely begun. The next day, all delegates gathered in the main conference hall. After the previous day's seismic event, security had been increased. Jin-Ho noticed more guards from all three alien species stationed around the room. Ambassador Do-hyun sat at the round table with the other diplomats. The Krath representative Thorax stood to address the group. "Welcome to the 5th Annual Death World Summit," Thorax's gravelly voice announced. "This year we have new observers from Earth. As is tradition, before our formal discussions begin, we will take part in a series of outdoor exercises designed to share survival techniques." A screen displayed images of Narak's harsh landscape. "Today's exercise will be a journey across the burning flats to reach the mineral springs," Thorax continued. "Each delegation will demonstrate their approach to traversing difficult terrain. This activity has been designed to accommodate all physiologies." Do-hyun glanced at his team. The aliens clearly expected this to be challenging for humans. The Votar diplomat Pella leaned closer to Do-hyun. "Do not worry, Ambassador. If the journey proves too difficult for your team, transportation will be provided. Thank you for your concern," Do-hyun replied politely. "But I believe we will manage." 2 hours later, the delegations gathered at the facility's outer doors. Each group carried supplies and equipment for the journey. The Krath wore almost nothing. Their stone-like bodies naturally adapted to the heat. The Votar had upgraded to even bulkier cooling suits with additional ice packs. The Drex wore mechanical exoskeletons to help them move in the high gravity. The humans wore their same lightweight environmental suits, though Subin had made some adjustments to improve cooling. "These are the burning flats," Security Chief Merg explained as the doors opened to reveal a vast plain of cracked red-orange rock. Heat waves rippled the air. "We will walk 5 kilometers to the mineral springs. Each delegation will take turns leading the way and sharing survival techniques." Jin-Ho studied the terrain with military precision. Typical volcanic environment, not unlike parts of Iceland back on Earth, just with higher gravity and temperature. Hye-Jin nodded. "The gravity will make it tiring, but nothing we can't handle." The Krath went first, their heavy stone bodies moving with surprising grace across the broken landscape. They showed how they could sense weak ground that might collapse. Next, the Votar demonstrated their approach, moving slowly and carefully, stopping frequently to adjust their cooling systems. The heat is their greatest enemy, Subin observed, quietly. Their homeworld is frozen, so this environment is extreme for them. When the Drex led, they showed how their wide bodies provided stability on the uneven ground, but their movements were labored despite their exoskeletons. Finally, it was the humans' turn to lead. Do-hyun motioned for Jin-ho to take point. Jin-ho set a steady pace, faster than any of the other species had maintained. Years of military training in desert environments had prepared him well. He showed the aliens how to step lightly on loose rocks and how to use walking poles for stability. The aliens struggled to keep up. The Krath managed well enough, but the Votar and Drex fell behind. Should we slow down? Heejin asked quietly. No, Do-hyun decided. They need to see what we can do. After 30 minutes of leading, Jin-ho had maintained a pace that left the other species impressed and somewhat concerned. Even in Narak's heavy gravity, the humans moved efficiently. Your endurance is unexpected, Thorax commented when they paused for rest. On your world, do you regularly travel across such terrain? We have many environments on Earth, Do-hyun explained. Deserts, mountains, polar regions, jungles. Humans explore them all. The Vodar diplomat Pella's large black eyes blinked rapidly. But your world is classified as moderate. How do you train for these conditions? Subin smiled behind her breathing. Mask. Earth has many places just as challenging as this. The gravity is different here, but the heat and terrain are familiar. The aliens exchanged glances, clearly re-evaluating their understanding of Earth and humans. As they approached the final stretch to the mineral springs, they encountered an unexpected obstacle. The path narrowed between two cliffs, and a stream of bubbling acidic liquid cut across their route. This is not on our maps, Merg said, concern evident in his voice. The acid river must be a new formation from yesterday's seismic activity. The delegations gathered at the edge of the stream. It was 5 meters across and steaming with noxious fumes. We must go back and find another route, Pella suggested, the cooling systems of her suit working overtime. That would add hours to our journey, Thorax rumbled. Some of us cannot remain in these conditions that long. Heejin stepped forward, examining the stream and the surrounding area. She picked up some of the fallen rocks near the stream's edge. What are you doing? Merg asked. Problem solving, Hyejin replied. She turned to Subin. Can you help me test if these rocks are acid resistant? Subin took out a small device and scanned several rocks. These larger ones are similar to basalt. They should resist the acid for a short time. Heejin nodded and began gathering the largest stones. Jin-ho, help me place these in the stream. We can create stepping stones. Understanding immediately, Jin-ho began collecting more rocks. Together, they carefully placed them in the acid stream, creating a path across. The aliens watched with apparent amazement at how quickly the humans developed and executed their solution. The stones won't last long, Hyejin explained to the group. We need to cross quickly, one at a time, she demonstrated, nimbly hopping from stone to stone until she reached the other side. Jin-ho followed, then helped Subin and Do-hyun across. The other species crossed with varying degrees of difficulty. The Krath moved confidently, their stone bodies less vulnerable to the acid. The Drex struggled with balance but made it across. The Votar needed assistance, their bulky cooling suits making it hard to maneuver on the stepping stones. Once everyone was safely across, they continued to the mineral springs, a collection of bubbling pools surrounded by crystal formations. As they rested by the springs, Thorax approached Do-hyun. Your team's solution was efficient. On our world, we would have waited for the acid to recede or taken the long way around. Humans are good at improvising, Do-hyun explained. We've learned that waiting isn't always an option. In our diplomatic briefings, Pella said hesitantly, Earth was described as a world with stable conditions and few natural threats. Yet your people seem well adapted to harsh environments. Do-hyun chose his words carefully. Perhaps there has been a misunderstanding about Earth. Our world has many different environments, some quite challenging. How challenging? Murg asked. Subin joined the conversation. We have active volcanoes like the Krath homeworld, frozen regions like the Votar planet, and areas with intense pressure systems like Drek's experience. Earth contains many extremes. The aliens fell silent, processing this information. I believe, Thorax finally said, we may need to reconsider Earth's classification in our databases. As they prepared for the return journey, Do-hyun realized something important. The humans hadn't been invited as equals, or even as genuine observers. They had been invited as curiosities, soft creatures from a gentle world who would struggle in harsh conditions. That misconception was quickly falling apart. And as Do-hyun watched the other diplomats now studying his team with newfound interest, he knew that humans had just changed the dynamics of galactic politics forever. The third day of the summit began with formal meetings. The delegates sat around a large table discussing trade agreements between their worlds. Do-hyun noticed the change in how the other species treated the human delegation. The condescension was gone, replaced by cautious respect. During a break, Subin examined some of the facility's environmental systems. A Drex engineer named Kral watched her with interest. Your understanding of our technology is impressive, Kral said. Most new species struggle to grasp our engineering principles. Subin smiled. Humans are quick learners. Your shield generators are similar to designs we've been testing on Earth. Really? Kral seemed surprised. Our records indicated your species only achieved spaceflight recently. True, Subin replied. But we developed many technologies before we left our planet. Necessity drove our innovation. Before Kral could respond, an alarm blared through the facility. Red lights flashed in the corridors. All delegates rushed to the main hall, where Thorax stood before a large screen showing weather patterns. A major storm system has formed, Thorax announced, his rocky voice tense. It was not predicted by our monitoring systems. The screen showed a massive swirling cloud formation approaching the facility. Lightning flashed within the yellow-black clouds. How dangerous is this storm? Do-hyun asked. Pella's cooling suit hummed as she stepped forward. Very dangerous. Narek storms carry acid rain and electrical discharges 10 times stronger than standard lightning. The facility's shields protect us, but... She hesitated. But what? Jinho pressed. Murg finished the thought. But this storm is unusually powerful, and yesterday's seismic activity may have damaged the shield generators. As if confirming his words, the facility lights flickered. A deep rumble shook the building. Status report, Thorax demanded into a communication device. A Krath technician, responded, the voice crackling through static. Shield capacity at 70% and dropping. The storm's magnetic properties are interfering with our power systems. Can the shields hold until the storm passes? Do-hyun asked. Unknown, Thorax admitted. This storm is stronger than any we have seen before. The delegates broke into worried conversations. The Votar representatives huddled together, their cooling suits working overtime from the stress. The Drek security team checked their equipment nervously. Do-hyun gathered his team. This is serious. If the shields fail completely, what happens? Subin answered immediately. The facility would be exposed to acid rain that could damage the structure. The lightning could overload power systems. And the storm might carry toxic gases from Narak's volcanic regions. We need to help, Do-hyun decided. Jinho, work with the security teams to prepare emergency protocols. Hyejin, find out if there are safe areas within the facility if the shields fail. Subin, see if you can help strengthen the shields. The team nodded and moved to their tasks. As they did, the other species watched with confusion. What are you doing? Pella asked Do-hyun. We're helping, he replied simply. But you are guests, Thorax said. This is not your responsibility. On Earth, when danger threatens, everyone works together, Do-hyun explained. It's how humans survive. In the control room, Subin examined the shield generators with Kral and other engineers. The machines hummed and sparked as they strained against the storm's power. The magnetic interference is the main problem, Subin observed. It's creating feedback in your power systems. Yes, Kral agreed. But we cannot adjust the shields while they are active. Subin studied the control panels. On Earth, we developed similar shields to protect cities from extreme weather. We learned to create adaptive harmonics that could match changing conditions. She pointed to a set of controls. If we modify these frequency modulators, we can reduce the magnetic interference. Kral hesitated. That would require reducing shield strength temporarily. Yes, Subin admitted. But if we don't, the whole system will fail soon. After a brief discussion, the engineers agreed to try Subin's solution. As they worked, the facility shook again. Part of the ceiling collapsed in a distant section, causing more alarms to sound. Jinho found himself organizing security teams from all three species. Despite initial resistance, the alien security officers began following his instructions when they saw his calm efficiency. We need to secure all outer sections, Jinho told them. Move any essential equipment to inner rooms. Post guards at all emergency exits. A Krath security officer named Grex worked alongside him. You have experience with such emergencies? Yes, Jinho replied. Earth has many natural disasters, hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. Military units are often called to help, but your world was described as moderate, Grex said, confusion in his glowing eyes. Jinho shook his head. Earth is anything but moderate. We have areas as hot as Krath worlds, as cold as Vodar planets, and with pressure systems that would challenge Drex. Then how do humans survive? We adapt, Jinho said simply. It's what we do best. Meanwhile, Do-hyun and Hae-jin discovered a new problem. The facility's communication array had been damaged, cutting off contact with orbiting ships and other settlements on Narak. Without communications, we can't call for evacuation if the shields fail completely, Hae-jin reported. Do-hyun studied the facility schematics. The array is on the roof. Someone needs to repair it. In the middle of the storm? Pella asked, her voice high with alarm. That would be suicide. Not necessarily, Hae-jin said. Our environmental suits can handle brief exposure. The aliens stared at her in disbelief. You would go outside? In these conditions? Thorax rumbled. Yes, Do-hyun decided. Hae-jin and I will repair the array. We need 2 people for the job. I must protest, Merg said. No one can survive Narak's atmosphere during a storm without specialized equipment. Our suits are more capable than you think, Do-hyun replied, and we don't have many options. Before the aliens could protest further, Do-hyun and Hae-jin checked their suits and gathered tools. Subin helped them adjust their protective gear for maximum protection. The acid rain will damage the outer layer of your suits, she warned. You'll have about 15 minutes before it eats through to the secondary layer. That should be enough time, Hae-jin said confidently. When they reached the access hatch to the roof, representatives from all 3 species had gathered to watch. Their expressions showed a mixture of concern and disbelief. Your bravery is noted, Thorax said formally, but this risk is unnecessary. With respect, Do-hyun replied, it is necessary, and humans are good at taking necessary risks. As the hatch opened, wind and acid rain immediately lashed at them. Do-hyun and Hae-jin pushed through and onto the roof. The storm surrounded them, howling wind, yellow-black clouds, and lightning striking nearby. They crawled across the roof to the communication array, fighting against the wind and gravity. Their suits began to smoke as the acid rain hit, but they kept moving. Through the observation window, the aliens watched in amazement as the 2 humans worked efficiently despite the hostile environment. In just 12 minutes, Hae-jin had replaced the damaged components while Do-hyun held the protective cover. When they returned inside, their suits were smoking and partially dissolved, but they had succeeded. The communication system came back, online immediately. As facility staff helped remove their damaged suits, the aliens stared in stunned silence. Finally, Thorax spoke. No species we know would have survived that exposure, he said, his voice quieter than usual. Your protective technology must be extraordinary. Do-hyun shook his head. Our technology is good but not exceptional. It's humans who are exceptional. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day in 1,000 different ways. We learned to endure, adapt, and overcome. For the first time since the summit began, the aliens looked at the humans not with condescension or curiosity, but with genuine awe. The storm raged for another 6 hours. Inside the facility, humans and aliens worked together to maintain the shields and repair damage. Subin's modifications to the shield generators proved crucial, allowing them to withstand the storm's magnetic interference. By the time the storm passed, something fundamental had changed in how the three alien species viewed humans. The dismissive attitudes were gone, replaced by genuine respect. The day after the storm, the Galactic Council representatives called an emergency session. All delegates gathered in the main hall, which still showed signs of damage from the crisis. Thorax stood to address the assembly. This summit has not proceeded as expected. Recent events have revealed information that requires immediate attention. The large screen displayed images of Earth. But these weren't the peaceful cities and managed landscapes the aliens had seen before. Instead, they showed hurricanes, volcanoes erupting, massive floods, and other natural disasters. New data has been provided about the human homeworld, Thorax continued. Our initial assessment was incorrect. Pella stepped forward. The Galactic Classification Committee proposes an immediate reclassification of Earth. Based on environmental analysis and observed human capabilities, Earth should be categorized as a Class 5 death world. Murmurs spread through the hall. Du Hyun glanced at his team, who looked as surprised as he felt. Class 5, he whispered to Hee Jin. The highest classification possible, she replied, checking her data tablet. Reserved for the most dangerous inhabited planets in the galaxy. Merg addressed the human delegation directly. Ambassador Do Hyun, why did your government not correct our misunderstanding about your world? Do Hyun chose his words carefully. We assumed you had complete information. Earth has many environments, some peaceful, others extremely harsh. Humans have learned to survive in all of them. But that's just it, Kral the Drex engineer said. Most species evolved to survive in one type of extreme environment. The Krath adapted to heat, the Vodar to cold, and my people to high pressure. Humans appear to have adapted to everything. The room fell silent as this realization sank in. Thorax's rocky body shifted uncomfortably. There is another matter we must address. Ambassador Do Hyun, when your delegation was invited to this summit, it was not truly as equals. I had begun to suspect that, Do Hyun replied evenly. The truth, Pella admitted, is that humans were invited as a diplomatic formality. We expected you to struggle with Narak's conditions, to request special accommodations, and to observe, rather than participate. We did not anticipate, Merg added, that you would not only survive here but excel. Do Hyun stood to address the assembly. On behalf of Earth, I accept your honesty, and I propose we use this opportunity to forge real cooperation between our worlds. For the next few hours, the summit transformed into genuine diplomatic negotiations. Where before the aliens had planned to offer humans limited technology and restricted trade routes, now they discussed full partnerships. The Krath Collective would be interested in human building techniques, Thorax proposed. Your structures withstand multiple types of environmental threats, while ours are specialized for heat resistance only. The voter Harmony wishes to learn about human adaptability, Pella added. Your ability to function in both hot and cold environments could help our explorers. Merg leaned forward. The Drex Union proposes military cooperation. Your security personnel demonstrated exceptional tactical thinking during the crisis. As the official meetings continued, the human team members found themselves sought out by their alien counterparts. In the engineering section, Subin worked with Kral and other alien engineers to improve the facility's systems. Your approach to the shield harmonics was brilliant, Kral told her, using variable frequencies instead of raw power. We never considered that. Humans often have limited resources, Subin explained. We learn to be efficient out of necessity. Would you consider sharing more human engineering principles? All three of our species have formally requested your expertise for a joint project. Subin raised her eyebrows in surprise. What kind of project? An environmental adaptation system, Kral said. Technology that could help all our species survive in different conditions. Your perspective would be invaluable. Jin-Ho found himself surrounded by security officers from all 3 species in the training area. We want to learn human tactical approaches, Grex, the Krath security chief said. Your ability to organize during the crisis saved many lives. I was just doing my job, Jin-Ho replied. That's what interests us, said a Vodar officer. Humans seem to consider extraordinary actions as routine. Jin-Ho considered this. We train for worst-case scenarios. On Earth, we have a saying, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. The alien security personnel nodded with new understanding. Meanwhile, He-Jin met with scientists from each species who were fascinated by human physiology. Your bodies contain so many redundant systems, a Vodar scientist noted. 2 lungs, 2 kidneys, a liver that regenerates, and your temperature regulation, added a Drex researcher. You can survive in heat that would kill Vodar and cold that would immobilize. Krath. Hyojin smiled. Human bodies are adaptable because they had to be. Earth forced us to evolve that way. On the final day of the summit, Do-hyun signed new agreements with all 3 species. What had begun as a token invitation had become the most productive diplomatic event in recent galactic history. As they prepared to return to their ship, Thorax, Pella, and Murg came to bid them farewell. The Galactic Council has updated all records regarding humans and Earth, Thorax announced formally. Your world is now officially recognized as a Class 5 death world, and humans as an apex survival species. Thank you, Do-hyun said. Though, I'm not sure all humans would consider that a compliment. It is the highest honor in our understanding, Pella explained. Species from harsh worlds are respected for their strength and resilience. Murg stepped forward. There is something we must ask. If Earth is truly as dangerous as our new classification suggests, how did humans become so peaceful? Most Death World species are aggressive and territorial. Do-hyun smiled. That's simple. When your world tries to kill you every day, you learn quickly that fighting each other is a waste of energy. Humans learn to cooperate to survive Earth's challenges. A profound wisdom, Thorax rumbled. Perhaps that is the most valuable lesson humans can teach the galaxy. As the Earth ship prepared for departure, Hyejin stood at a viewport looking down at Narak's harsh surface. They thought they were testing us, she said quietly. Jin-Ho nodded. Instead, they learned that when you invite humans to a Death World summit, you'd better be prepared for what humans can do. Subin finished with a smile. Do-hyun joined them at the viewport. Our first real allies in the galaxy, and all because they underestimated us. The ship lifted off, leaving Narak behind. What the aliens had intended as a diplomatic formality had become a turning point in galactic relations. Earth was no longer seen as a minor moderate world, but as the home of one of the most adaptable and resilient species in known space. Humans had earned their place among the stars not through conquest or intimidation, but by doing what they had always done best, surviving and thriving in the face of impossible odds, and the galaxy would never be the same again.